Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So, let's start off with Anna for a minute. I genuinely feel bad for anyone who are Anna fans because I heard back in the day, they used to take her a lot more seriously than they do now. And it pretty much kind of shows. So, she's whining that she's alone and complaining. And so she decides to go to Jack and Jennifer's place. I don't remember why, because to be honest, I really pay very little attention to her. But Jack and Jennifer are talking about how, Chad found Abigail and they're going to be coming back home soon. So Anna gets over there and she hears the good news. And, Gwen gets brought up. And of course, Anna got to sit there and talk some dirt about her. And it gets to a point where I guess they brought up, the fact that Gwen is getting married. And Anna's like, oh well, who would sit there and who would sit there and get married to such a terrible person or whatever. That's not what she said, but those are along the lines of words that she kind of used more or less. Um, Xander gets there like, yeah, she's marrying me. So Anna, throws some dirt at her and starts talking about how bad, like brings up her history or whatever. All the stuff that she did in Salem as far as Chad, breaking up Jennifer and Jack, all her transgressions. But, Xander's like, well, she's changed, she's a lot different. I'm gonna be honest, babe. I'm gonna be honest. One, I get he was trying to take the high road, and I think that's really great. But if somebody's that they're talking about the woman I'm gonna be marrying, I'm not being nice at all. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm going straight for the juggler and then some. Um, but he was sitting there trying to defend her character, and it got to a point where it got kind of heated. So, Jack or Jennifer was like, let's just sit there and talk about something else. So, how happens next? More or less, they kind of just drop it. But, Anna does sit there and say, yo, listen, um, just be careful because she has a history. Now, the thing is, even though Anna was quite annoying when she was sitting there talking crap about Gwen, she wasn't wrong. She really was not wrong. Not just about the past transgressions, but just about who her character is now, and like how you could just never really trust her. Now after she left, Xander asked Jack to be his best man, and of course he said yes. So it's kind of a nice scene and whatever. I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I always appreciate Xander and Jack's friendship. Now, not really much happened between Xander and Gwen, except for Xander was like, "Why don't you ask Ava to sit there and be your maid of honor?" And of course, she was like, "No, we're not really friends. I just want to sit there and say some nice words or whatever." So that was pretty much about it, and he left. Now Ava does get there, and Ava's like, "Yo, listen, you should be worried." Because she read the article about Jack and Jennifer, article about Abigail, and Ava's like, listen, if she somehow comes back to town, you're done. You're donezo. Your marriage, your father, jail, all that is gonna happen. I don't know which order, but it's all gonna happen. So just definitely be careful. But Gwen is like, oh well, Kristen would never let that happen, and she's your friend. I'm like, it was like, oh, you mean a friend that blackmailed me? That friend? Yeah, yeah, no, we ain't friends. Um, but of course, Gwen shows Ava the ring and everything like that, and she says that she's happy for her. She also mentions, oh, my son is going to sit there and propose to his girlfriend. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how it went south as we're speaking. That whole thing just went south. But You'll hear about it sooner or later. Mm, I know. Here's the thing. I know she's gonna go off on her, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how much she can actually go off on her. I mean, he does. Like Henry is her grandson, so just how much smoke are you gonna really sit there and give her? But anyway, she talks about the ring and everything like that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm happy for you," and unfortunately, my life isn't really going that well as far as the love department, and I went straight, I did everything right, and my boyfriend and my best friend just pretty much screwed me over. And of course, at this point, Gwyneth's like, "Well, the revenge is never the best answer, and you're just gonna sit there and wind up hurting yourself." And I'm like, Gwen, really, really? And I get it. She's been through that. She's been through the revenge, and she's came on. Well, to be honest, she didn't really come on the other side of anything. You literally got revenge towards your dad for something that you didn't even know what really happened, and your sister, which again you didn't really know the whole story. But now you're gonna sit there and try to give Ava a pep talk about how revenge is a bad idea, and it's never gonna sit there and make you feel great. Really, Gwen? Really? Well, let's just sit there and see how she feels about that when that when everything hits the dust. And yeah, let's just sit there and see how wisdom and wise how wise she's sitting there feeling. Watch all that zen go out the damn window. So one scene you got Kristen coming down there with a gun and telling Steve and Kayla, "Oh, by the way, I did sit there and drug you with a drug that's gonna make you forget everything, not just the island, all of it, who you are to each other, pretty much how to tie your own damn shoes." Um, so she says that, and then the next scene, you got Steve that's there tying up Kristen, and I'm like, "But you had the gun. I don't understand. Why did you?" And I knew that she was there saying like, listen, I can't sit there and keep you forever, and to be honest, I really don't want to keep you forever. Yet you had no problem sitting there keeping Sarah there as long as you did. But okay, sure, whatever. I guess you're just tired of sitting there babysitting people. Why are you letting them tie you up? You did have the gun, right? Like, what, didn't have any bullets? Like, well, anyway, Kristen at this point is like, listen, whatever. Because in a couple hours, you're not going to sit there and remember me or anything anyway. And of course, she was sitting there talking about how the poison or whatever is in the chicken, so anyone who eats it, what they're going to forget too. Sarah is going to forget, and pretty much, well, anyone else. So of course, Kayla and Steve, tries to rush up there to sit there and stop them. But at this point, Sarah was so insistent. Well, Renee, acting like Renee was like so insistent about everyone, eating the chicken and stuff like that. Up until the point where she was like, "Well, I'm not going to sit there and tell you what Steve and Kayla is until we all sit there and eat the chicken." Why is it such a? Why is it so important? I don't understand that. But to be honest, I'm just so not really into this whole Sarah being Renee. Like I just don't care, and it just sounds kind of annoying after a while. Anyway, she makes everyone eat the chicken. Everyone, a lot of people seem to saying it's good and stuff like that. And of course, Stephen Gallagher got up there. They're like, "No, you eat the chicken. Oh my goodness, like you're not gonna remember everything because Kristen poisoned the chicken." And of course, Sarah's like, "Oh, no, 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 I switched it out. Yeah, she's not poisoning anything. I switched the whole thing out, and we're all good now." She switched it out with like goat milk or whatever. I'm like, what? Like I sat there and I thought about it for a minute. I was like, it's one thing if she just gave them a temporary amnesia thing to make them forget about the stuff on the island. Okay, cool. We gotta sit there and rush. We gotta get out of here. We don't have time for this. Um, but she made them try to forget everything, like their whole entire existence. So I'm like, well, how are they gonna sit there and try to cure well all of them? Oh, we don't have to sit there and worry about that because Sarah's system switched it out. Okay. So anyway, everyone's safe, and that pretty much kind of ends that. Now Xander does come back, and he tells Gwen some good news. First, Jack agrees to be his best man, um, aka his best mate. And second, he's like, "Oh, and they found Abigail. She's coming home. Isn't that great?" And Gwen's like, "I'm sorry, what? What did you just say?" Ugh, Gwen is so screwed. She is so screwed. Honestly, tell you the truth, the best thing that she can do at this point is you just get out of town. Like, get out of town now. Because the last person that Abby did say that she saw when she was talking to Chad was Ava. That's another thing. Ava was like, "Yo, listen, I'm screwed. Um, she saw me last before you wound up knocking her out." Oh yeah, so Ava's screwed too. But I'm like, "Yo, you might want to leave town. You might want to leave town, and you might want to sit there and give Ava a heads up and tell her to get out of Dodge." All in all, I gotta sit there and say it was actually a good episode. It was. I could have did without, Sarah being Renee because it's just getting annoying, and I could have did without Anna altogether because, well, she just comes across as a dingbat. I mean, granted, when she was at Jack and Jennifer's place or Julie's place, she was throwing a lot of facts down. Like, yo, listen, you can't sit there and trust her. Like, I know you want to marry her and stuff, but she has a past, and she seems like the type of person that just can't be trusted. Um, but to be fair, everyone in that room has a past, so it's like, hmm, it is nice to sit there and see Jack again. I mean, we're probably going to sit there and, once Abby gets home, Jack and Jennifer are probably going to sit there and head back out and go back to wherever they were at, trying to run this new newspaper. But it was nice to see Jack for a little bit. And besides, when him being gone, it's one less Jack that I got to sit there and kind of, like, remember. So, I don't know why she felt the need to sit there and tell. I don't know why Anna felt the need to sit there and tell Jennifer and Jack about Renee. Like, I know that Renee is going to be kind of a big part, and they're probably going to have a story with her and Anna and Tony and stuff like that. Because Renee was all, or Sarah was all over Tony, and Tony was like, "Yo, listen, I'm a happy married man. Like, what are you doing?" Um, but I know it's going to be some sort of like storyline with that, and I get that, but I felt like her telling Jack and Jennifer about Renee just seemed kind of pointless. Anyway, with that being said, I think that's going to do it. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.